Today, we discuss how a dog becomes a well-educated pup, automatically dodging bikes, making everyone drowsy. Is this top student vibe? One day, the trainer told him to wait, but turned around and forgot Little Q. 2 hours later, Little Q was still obediently waiting until the trainer came out with other dogs and found him still on duty. He suddenly understood, feeling delighted, as guide dogs must be obedient and master patience. Not running at the sound of noise and not drooling at the sight of food. This self-control is something many adults struggle with, yet Little Q, the trainer kept praising him, proving that Little Q had become the first super dog to earn his guide dog credentials. Subtitle: Little Q soon found his new owner. One day, the trainer spotted a blind man and took Little Q to meet him. He hoped to let the blind man try walking with Little Q, but the man stubbornly responded that he had no time for that. After listening to this, the trainer made a promise, saying, "No worries. You're definitely going to change your mind eventually." Ultimately, the blind man made the decision to give it a try. He cared much about prey, though scared, he denied it, squatting down tremblingly to grab Little Q. He nervously followed Little Q, still distrustful, using his cane to check corners. After confirming, he started complaining about Little Q's slow response, but took charge on familiar routes. In the end, he almost got hit by a speeding truck, which scared him to a cold sweat. Little Q truly saved his life. From then on, he had a new appreciation for guide dogs, confidently leading Little Q forward, even if he struggled to keep the pace. Finally, he arrived at his office in just 5 minutes. After seeing Little Q's skills, the man was impressed and decided to. However, to officially own a guide dog, they had to go through a month of final training with a test for both of them. The man was quite the macho type. If the trainer wasn't around, he wouldn't give a single command. Fortunately, the trainer stayed with them all the time, enabling them to just barely arrive at their destination. Subtitles: The trainer gently reminded him to give more praise to Little Q, although the man was unwilling. Deep down in his heart, he still followed the trainer's advice. However, when the man brushed Little Q, he was all thumbs and had no finesse. Little Q's face was a picture of helplessness. While navigating obstacles, the man fell back into his old habits. When Little Q stopped to alert him about an upcoming obstacle, he stubbornly plowed ahead. He hit the obstacle, refused fold, blamed Little Q for slowness. What the tragedy! Going downhill and not listening, he fell hard. Finally, graduation day came, and while everyone else happily took their dogs home, he and Little Q sat alone in a corner. Little Q seemed to notice his owner's disappointment, wagging his tail and approaching him for comfort. The man softly caressed him, experiencing a surge of emotions in his heart, and after a long absence, a smile finally graced his usually expressionless face, all due to Little Q's comforting. After that, the man's attitude changed drastically. He started to follow commands even if he stumbled a bit. He made a real effort to understand Little Q. At night, while everyone else was resting, he had to sneak in extra work with Little Q, only to be caught by the staff. That day, the man and Little Q went to a vending machine. He wanted a beer to celebrate graduation. Due to blindness, he often took wrong drinks. On his last try, Little Q sneezed 3 times. And paused, still skeptical, and approached the third vending machine's success. He got the beer. From then on, his trust in Little Q grew exponentially. What a journey of enlightenment. Finally, they graduated. Little Q followed the man home. Kids loved him, but the wife was skeptical. With no other choice, the man was compelled to construct a simple shelter outside the door and settle Little Q in this temporary home. On his first workday, the man reverted to old ways, ignoring Little Q and walking stubbornly in the road, causing a jam but no honking. Because everyone saw the guide dog leash next to him, they thought, this guy is a bit special. When he arrived at the office, the training captain was already waiting for him, silently praying for him after seeing the morning traffic. At the right moment, the man brought Little Q to meet his disabled friend, showering Little Q with compliments about his abilities. Everyone was smitten by Little Q. One skeptical person wanted to take Little Q for a test walk. But the man didn't see Little Q and shouted frantically, "Little Q! Little Q heard his owner's voice and excitedly bumped his head, resulting in a chaotic dog-head collision. The boy felt a bit wronged and snapped at Little Q before leaving. Considering Little Q had been spoiled rotten since birth and had never faced such left with no choice, Little Q bravely ventured out into the rain, wandering along familiar streets. A few days afterwards, the man got a phone call and ultimately located Little Q. He was so overjoyed that he burst into tears. It was truly a touching scene of reunion after a long separation. Although the man kept a calm face, he was nervously on edge, scared that Little Q wouldn't follow him. Finally, once he confirmed that Little Q was indeed following him, the man smiled with joy. He put a sunshade over Little Q on a scorching day. Kids saw him lying down and sneakily took him inside. The kids played dress-up with Little Q and even thoughtfully left him 2 pieces of pork ribs. Little Q, what do you think? Shows. Little Q, you're awesome too. You work hard every day. Every single day, you're diligently working hard with the hope of bringing happiness and joy to your family. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe.